Chapter 7. Inside of the cathedral, Ruvik appeared. He showed me who's the boss around these parts and put me inside of some underground labyrinth. It's in here where I exploded and was in charge of gathering 3 stone heads. I chose to go left and got introduced to the alter egos. These pieces of unwanted garbage were probably the ugliest things I have seen in this game, and unfortunately for me, they are littered throughout this chapter. I'll talk about them a little later though. Further up ahead, my game started to flash, my epilepsy nearly kicked in, and the keeper locked me in and gassed me. I now had a timer, an enemy, and worst of all, a valve I had to turn. Since every enemy takes me about 20 minutes of punching for me to defeat, this wasn't as straightforward as I thought it would be. In fact, it was quite hard. These alter egos have elongated limbs, so they could touch me in ways I didn't want to be touched from miles away. After a few deaths, I had enough. This time, I instead headed to my right, where I blindly lost some health and unfortunately had to use my pistol to turn these cogs. This challenge is, it's holding up great. After a little elevator ride up, I now had to face my greatest foe, turning a wheel. Doing this action is damn near impossible without wiping out the entire room first. Thankfully for me, this room knew I'd be doing this challenge, so it provided me with an easy way to dispose of these Kronenbergs. The wheel was turned, more enemies were crushed, and the stone head was collected. So, back to the left side. I immediately went in swinging because I had no time, and I had no stamina. The ugly went down, and I happily escaped into the jaws of an enemy. Okay, you know what, I'm not going to bore you guys with all the details of this mission, mainly because I don't want to relive the trauma a second time, so let's just get into the meat and potatoes of why this mission was so hard. You see, after acquiring all 3 medallions and escaping a saw trap, I met the man, the myth, the legend, the Keeper. Now let me tell you why fighting this man with no weapons was such a pain. So just to start, as you can see, I had a sliver amount of health and no health vials. All I had to do for the first part of this fight was to hit the Keeper 13 times for him to go down. All of his moves, for the most part, provided me with a 1 to 3 second cooldown, allowing me to get 1 to 3 hits in. Now in my humble opinion, the move where he just swings his hammer left and right is the safest way to hit him since it's easy to dodge. His other moves, including a sack swing, which he can sometimes combo into a lunge and then follow it up by 2 more swings, is an absolutely devastating combo that I have fell victim to many times. Other than the attack where he places down barbed wire traps, the most lethal move he has is when he starts to chase after you. Every time he managed to grab me, it ended in an instant kill. Now remember, I don't have any upgraded stamina, so it really wasn't that hard for the Keeper to catch me and chokeslam me. Somehow though, despite all of this, I was able to take him down, only to find out that his death was a mere striptease. Upon dying, the poison gas turns on, and he resurrects himself right next to where I have to turn the valve. As you can imagine, with the added time limit, the pressure kicked in like crazy. The Keeper, being the smart Chad that he was, placed a trap right near the valve, which ended in me getting brutally battered. Look, to really dumb it down, the plan really is this simple. Hit him 13 times again, turn the valve, and that's it. I win. But nope. You see, I did do that, but to my shocker, the meter was still going up. There was still 1 more valve I had to turn. Time was ticking, I locked the Keeper outside, and in an absolute insane visual, the Keeper rips his own head off in order for him to teleport himself right next to me. Not gonna lie, he got me good. I decided that if I was going to do this, I had to at least complete the first part without getting hit. That is because the second room had a health syringe that could help me take 1 more extra hit from the Keeper. Not just that, but if I do get hit, I'll at least won't be limping the entire time. So after the Keeper performs his sacrificial revival, killing him once more allows me to escape this room and see him destroy the valve I needed to turn. This does nothing to me other than waste more of the little time I already had trying to get the replacement valve. With all this stress, it's no shocker that I fell victim to the mine traps right after. No joke, these traps will sometimes be placed in the most perfect spots where I even feel like it's unfair. I mean, look at this. That's literally my only way out of this room. But anyways, in this instance, I grabbed the red valve, but as you can see, that poison meter was at the critical level. My plan was to let the Keeper chase me far enough so that I could run back to this valve and give it at least 1 full turn. Although it was somewhat working, let me tell you, this man hit the jets like he was a F-22 Raptor, alright? There wasn't really much I could do. My ideal run eventually came, and I brought the Keeper back to the first room where my final battle with him began. Since I've battled with the Keeper in this room countless times, and it has a direct shortcut to the last valve, this was the magic spot to be in. With some good time left on the clock, the Keeper got a good hit on me, but in the end, I came out victorious. I had just the right amount of time left to turn that valve and escape unharmed. With that, I was finally able to give the Keeper a taste of his own medicine. Chapter 7 was finally over. Chapter 8 begun, and I found myself inside of a cave system. I wasn't alone, and although the smartest thing to do in this challenge is to avoid confrontations, I sometimes had no choice and had to get my hands dirty. But that's okay as long as the game kept supplying me with health syringes. As I ventured in deeper and deeper into this labyrinth, I came across a rare sight. A door to open with what seems to be no enemies around to bother me. I should have known it was too good to be true. I'm at least relieved that they explode upon impact, so it really wasn't a threat to me at all. The explosion is able to knock down the actual threat in this game, so these little children were quite the lifesaver. A little further up ahead, I came across a man foreshadowing the fate that'll soon await me. You see, if I just paid even the shrimp's dick worth of attention to the descriptions or my surroundings, I would have known that the side of the tablet that had the blood on it was the wrong side. Wow, who would have guessed? The cave around me morphed back into the hospital where Dr. Jimenez basically said, listen, we're fucked, okay? It's really just that simple. We are dreaming, but it's more so Ruvik's dream we are in, and he has control of literally everything, including this abomination that just absolutely painted the floor with me. After escaping it, Ruvik came to me and threw me into Chapter 9. It's here where I was tasked to open this crazy looking door. I first followed the pipe that led to the left, and it brought me face first into an explosion. Walking off that embarrassment, I ended up role-playing as a neurologist, and somehow that led to the left side of the door being unlocked. On my way back, Ruvik decided to play tag, and although I broke his ankles, he went ahead and quite literally broke mine. Now that the left side was done, I went ahead to the right, nearly got touched by Ruvik, hid in the closet, and opened the secret door that had me playing Surgeon Simulator again. Carefully studying the diagram next to me, the lobotomy unlocked the right side of the door, and then I got ambushed. Now getting to the third and final lock of the store was a sharp and burning pain in my ass. Let me walk you down just one of my attempts. I went upstairs and got very lucky with this door kick, allowing me to take care of the enemy very quickly. I grabbed an axe immediately to my right and used it on the first enemy I saw. I then picked up extra matches, a medkit, and a bottle, only to get snuck up on and violated. Sometimes when the door I kicked down doesn't make the enemy fall, I try to do a perfectly timed match light, but as you can see, it doesn't always work out. After some time, I realized I could get a sneak kill on the first enemy as long as I made it to the door before he did. I then pick up my axe and realize, oh, I could perform another one. With my axe still in hand, I didn't see the enemy that snuck up on me last time, so I pushed forward and was met with an unfortunate reason to use my gun. Again, I just seem to prove to you guys that you can't beat this game with only your hands. You can't. After this, I made it to the last brain I had to pick, and just like that, the door was unlocked. But before I could get to it, I used my axe on this enemy who dropped another axe. That was very lucky for me since it allowed me to take out the clown who had a firearm. If I were to have died to that, believe me, I would have taken a bite out of my monitor. With the big door finally unlocked, adult Ruvik transported me to young Ruvik, who then transformed into a big blood monster. I don't know what that is. Thankfully, it didn't matter because I didn't have to fight him. Well, not yet at least. I easily ran away, escaped another saw trap, and ended up here. The big red Ruvik saw I ran away earlier, so of course he made it much harder for me to do so now. At first, I wasn't sure what I was supposed to do. I couldn't unlock this gate, so I tried to actually fight the red man, but obviously that was just not the way to go. It's not until I pulled out the big guns and used it to break open these locks that it all finally clicked. I ran like I had constipation until I couldn't run anymore and ended up in a farmhouse. It's here I learned that Ruvik and his sister were both terribly burned by some townfolk. And oh look, a crank. I wonder what's gonna stop me from using it to escape. I shot a bullet again, and then I got the answer to my question, a boss fight. Surprisingly though, it wasn't too bad. I had 3 grenades saved up, and all I had to do was just take out the enemies I'm already so used to fighting. With just a little bit of patience and awareness of where Ruvik was, I was able to win in only about 2 or 3 attempts. The roof collapsed on me, and unfortunately, I did wake up and ended Chapter 9. Now Chapter 10, I wish was human, so I could just take its lunch money and call him a nerd. This chapter wasn't for the weak. After accidentally triggering this tripwire and understanding what it does, it was clear that stealth was my best friend here. However, that best friend didn't last long, since a sharpshooter made it clear who was in charge. Now it was time to dip my balls in cold water and thug it out. With my torch now used, I was forced to fight bare knuckled, but that doesn't really work when your opponent brings a gun. I would say lesson learned, but there was no lesson. I just got my ass beat. I found a battery pack which gave me a checkpoint and finally saw the sharpshooter. As I attempted to make my way towards wherever this battery belonged, one of the enemies stunned me with his bullet and got me decapitated. On this attempt, the AI played a cruel trick on me. As I was hiding from the gunfire and waiting for the propeller to pass by, I let this enemy slowly approach me, lift me up, and kill us both. But don't worry, I did end up getting my revenge. After some very slow and methodical movement, I made my way to the battery slot, inserted the battery, and finally got to exit that little hellhole. Now even after all that, it still wasn't the reason why chapter 10 was such a pain to get done. We will get to that, don't worry. My next task was, and you won't believe it, to pick up another battery and place it somewhere. If there's one thing this game has taught me is that I should really get my eyes checked out. This happens way too often. I didn't mention this, but every time I died with the battery in hand, I had to go get it back, which was no easy task since the area was absolutely filled with enemies. Every corner seemed to have someone just waiting for me. The game provided me with a lot of empty bottles that, for what it's worth, at least gave me a way to stun or even sometimes knock down the enemy. I remember complaining on why the hell it was so dark in this part, but once I got that battery inserted, I sort of wished the light stayed off. These spinning spikes I could ignore, but putting the lever I needed to pull right behind this monstrosity and in a corner was just unforgivable. In order to avoid getting ganged on in the corner, I found that I could take out all the enemies in this room before triggering the gate open. I just barely made it to pull the switch, and let me tell you, I clenched my ass so hard my cheeks damn near fused together, alright? But finally, now that this area was done, the next one is the reason this chapter will forever be engraved in my memory. In this area, I had to crank open a gate, and we all know how I feel about cranks by now. But the kicker is that there were two of those monsters preventing me from doing anything. They were on me like scammers to Bitcoin. I had absolutely no idea what to do. On this attempt, I threw a grenade at them and they even took damage from the explosive on the wall, and I thought it gave me enough time to open up the gate, but nope. I was so close, but they were just way too fast. However, I did notice I could burn them, so that was something new, I guess. My working theory right now was that maybe if I could lure them as far back as possible and stun them with my grenades, it would give me enough time to open the gate. On this attempt, as you can see, it actually looked like it was going to work, but on the last turn of the valve, Sebastian takes an extra second to turn it, which was all the traumas needed to end my hopes and dreams. I actually tried doing this so much that at times it even glitched and the traumas weren't even able to hit me, but even that was all just a tease. On this attempt, I almost had it, but one of the traumas literally grapple hooked me away from the gate. It's the equivalent of getting your paycheck then getting robbed on your way home. It's actually insane. In this clip, I actually got it open, but of course here comes the hook to blue ball me. As you can imagine, I tried this method for an insane amount of times, and no matter what, it was always the same result. After a while, I decided to switch up my approach since clearly this wasn't working. I went in stealthy this time, and after a few attempts, I noticed you could actually perform a stealth attack on these enemies. I knew it must have damaged him a lot, so I went ahead, threw 2 grenades, but only one connected. Unfortunately for me, the 2 traumas were still up, and I foolishly tried to see if I could de-aggro them, but nope, they were just way too persistent. I knew I needed to damage one, so I tried lighting a fire, and I missed. But then, to my shock, I threw a bottle, and like I struck the damn Powerball, the goddamn Mega Millions, somehow, the trauma finally went down. Although I wasn't able to take down the second one, I knew that if everything went right, I could somehow be able to take both of them down. So from that point forwards, my attempts will look like this. Take down the first haunted with a stealth kill, and land a blow on one of the traumas. And like I suspected earlier, 2 well-placed grenades will take the trauma I stealth attacked down. I now somehow needed to take care of the second guy. A bottle throw and 2 bodies I could burn were just about all I had to damage him. Considering I missed both chances to burn him, I was left flaccid and had to take yet another L. After realizing my damage output was very limited after taking down the first guy, I knew it was an absolute must to damage both traumas when throwing my 2 grenades, exactly like I just did here. I then used the first corpse to successfully burn him and punch him for some extra damage. The trauma was still alive though, and my health wasn't looking too good. This of course led me to once again bite the bullet. But that's alright, since with every attempt I was getting better and better at my strategy until this happened. I started like I always do with the sneak kill and the sneak attack. I missed my initial lighting, but hit the second one perfectly. I then followed up with 2 grenades, taking the first trauma down. I disabled the bomb in the room, because Lord knows I didn't want to accidentally set it off, and then I threw a bottle at him. Next up, I brought him towards the other corpse I could ignite, and immediately ran to pick up the other bottle, only to miss my throw. After that, my only option was to beat him senseless with as many punches as possible. Luckily for me, he somehow got stuck in this wall, making it very easy to dodge his attacks. And after some time, he finally went down, and I was able to escape the room. As I pressed on, beaten and battered, my reality started to alter, and not even gravity made sense. I then came across a cage that held Laura. I thought I was safe, but usually those feelings don't last very long in this game. And just like that, I was back to running for my life and trying to get away from this horrid foul creature. It's after this small chase that I regret to inform you that another shot was taken to flip this switch. This initiated another chase sequence, but this time a bit different. This time, pulling these levers turned off the flames blocking my way out, but not instantly. So in the meantime, I just have to make sure Laura doesn't touch me, and occasionally use the switches to inflict some damage. She was fast, I'll give her that. Sometimes even a little too fast, but I have plot armor. Even though I'm sure my occipital lobe got dented, I made sure she paid for that.
Will you be able to live with yourself knowing what I'm gonna make you do?
Yes, and with that, the doctor damn near snaps us back to reality, but gets crushed before he could do it. As for me, I was about to have a huge problem. A boss fight called Amalgam. A boss that I genuinely had no idea how to approach with no weapons. My first thought was to get some grenades, and thankfully I did find some, but I basically missed all my throws, so that was useless. As you can imagine, I was down bad. So down bad, I chose to hide and gather some thoughts. But all those thoughts and my body were crushed by the weight of the car. Clearly, the eye was the weakness, so I figured, hey, let me try to run at it and punch it. But I mean, the video speaks for itself. That little tentacle was just way faster than my swing. If that wasn't bad enough, when I did try to swing at the actual monster, I felt like Flats trying to hit SpongeBob. I swung, and honestly, I don't think any health was dropping. I saw myself break apart like a Lego more times than I've seen myself piss. This was true punishment. After dying so many times, it became crystal clear to me. The first phase was not possible with my fists. I'm sure someone will figure out how to do it, but unfortunately, I simply was not able to. Now at first my plan was to just use weapons to get me to the second stage of the fight, but then I found out that in the second stage, if you literally get touched by the amalgam, you die. So I don't know how I'm supposed to hit him with my fists if touching him just kills me instantly. Welp, there goes that challenge out the damn window. I took down the amalgam with guns, and with that failure now stained on this run, Chapter 10 was finally over. If anyone can do this with just your hands and some grenades, please let me know how. Other than that, thank you guys for watching. Subscribe if you want to, leave a comment, you know the jazz. That's about it. See you guys whenever I finish the game, I guess. If I even decide to finish it. Goodbye. Peace out.